Hello, Jem.
Heidi, hi.
Yay.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day to you too, darling. How are you?
I'm amazing. I feel like we've had a real day of it today between the first conversation, the second, and now the final. I'm just going to share this and I'm going to join in Gem Crypto as well, just in case. But
Okay.
wow, I'm feeling quite overwhelmed in a good way, and I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, looking forward to having a chat with some people on Valentine's Day about love. So yeah, cool for doing this and really happy with these impromptu ones as well.
Yeah, yeah, this isn't our usual time. Usually we're a Thursday evening, but we thought as it's Valentine's Day, we'll put on a little half-hour spaces and connect with everybody and see how everybody is and go from there. So yeah, it feels like the perfect day. So we'll wait for a few more people to come on. It's not going to be like one of our traditional spaces where I talk for ages about the principles or about a certain subject. I mean, it may turn into that, but we're not planning on it being that. This is much more of a open discussion between me and Jem and looking at our experiences and yeah, just seeing where it goes. We did a great spaces with the Lost Boys last night, which is on both of our pages, so you can go and check that out and give that a listen. I think that really explains a lot about the Unminding Project and what we do. Yeah, so gems.
Yeah, so we wanted to start this space because we're both very lonely and single on Valentine's Day. No, just joking, but we are. We are single, but not lonely. And sort of the conversations that we've had between ourselves today, and I've just come off another Zoom with Moles on a Monday night. I'm part of a group. It's been running for a long time. Moles obviously does private sessions, but we were in a group. There's 10 of us on a regular basis, and today we were speaking mainly about there's a couple of people. I'm not going to obviously mention names, Miles, and hope you're all right with me saying this, but
Yeah,
there's
as long as
a,
it's fine, darling.
yeah, there's a mother and a daughter in our group who are the most lovely, wonderful people. They've helped me with a lot of things, and it's just a really close, tight knit group. And they recently lost their husband slash father. So tonight we were talking about loss and love and how grief is the price that you pay for love. Um, it opened up some things with me and sort of family as well, and it's just so interesting how having a conversation that maybe you didn't want to have can open up so many doors and make you sort of realize, hey, none of that mattered. And all this work, I mean, me personally, I thought I had a lot of work to do to be happy, in inverted commas. And this whole process, this whole understanding that whatever's happening is supposed to be happening, and it's really none of my fucking business to comment or hang on to anything because it just is, and this moment is all that's here. And that's the main thing that I've been learning from this. But just to have that conversation tonight surrounding love and loss and grief was so powerful for me. I'm still like I'm on an adrenaline rush because I feel I've learned so much in the last couple of hours, and what is happening is I just I'm just so grateful to be able to share these kind of insights with people today. I mean, personally, I don't believe in Valentine's Day. It's very Americanized, very it's all about money in regards to, like, it reminds me of Halloween. I just don't really see the point of it. But I know I've had Valentine's days where I felt like shit because I'd broken up with somebody or I felt unloved or rejected or whatever. But today is just I've learned so much about connection and love, and Moles, if we can share any of that with people here, amazing.
Yeah, thank you, darling. So basically, I run a group that has been ongoing for a while It's a paid group and it's on Zoom, so that's what Gem's talking about that we've been on tonight. And we got really deep into the conversation about love and loss and grief, and it was a really beautiful conversation, and I think Gem really heard something. And what I found really interesting with what happened with Gem tonight was that what she hadn't actually, because I've worked with Gem for a while, but there was an area that she hadn't spoken to me about yet, and I won't go into details about it, but there was something she heard on the call tonight that just she realized she didn't have to go into that area of her life and analyze it and work through it and really dig into it and change it. All she had to see it was with fresh thought and fresh eyes, and it would fall away. And that was Gem's experience. And I think what's wonderful about what she pointed to there and what she saw there is we think change takes a long time. We think that sometimes we can't change. We think that our experiences are set, but actually everything's really fluid and really open. So once we begin to see that the only thing that needs to change is our thinking for us to be okay, and that changes on its own, then that's what will happen. We'll have the experience of seeing something really differently just by our mind changing without us having to do anything. And that's a really powerful thing. So we kind of decided this morning, let's just put something on and just chat with people and see what happens. And I had, and to be fair, I'm not a massive believer in Valentine's Day, as in, I don't know, it's a weird one for me. I love flowers. For me, it's a day when I can get flowers, or if I'm with somebody that they can send me flowers. And so for the last few years, I've received flowers. And today was my first Valentine's Day without anybody for a long time. And yesterday, I was like, oh, it's only Valentine's Day, I'm going to be fine. There's absolutely no problem whatsoever. And bearing in mind, I teach about the mind, and I really thought I had an idea of my reaction to today. And what actually happened was that I had quite a bad reaction this morning, because I woke up and something really hit me quite deeply. And I had, it wasn't like I got caught up in the sense of, in something where I overthought it, because I tend not to do that anymore. It was just like a feeling within me of sadness. A sadness came up because for whatever reason that this person that I wanted to be with isn't in my life, and where I thought I was okay about it, I wasn't. But actually what happened within a couple of hours of feeling that, I was okay again. So what we're talking about here is the impermanence of feeling, the impermanence of thought, how thought and feeling will always change. So thought arises, it appears as a feeling, it appears as an experience, and then it falls away, and a new thought, new thinking, new feelings come through. So what we're seeing here with this understanding that me and Jem show you, and what we've seen for ourselves, is nothing's permanent. Everything changes really quickly, okay? And we have that allowance of that because we understand that our feeling is coming from thought and not the world. So well, we really wanted to get on and say, like, yeah, of course, sometimes we're going to be sad on Valentine's Day. Sometimes we're going to be happy on Valentine's Day. Sometimes on a Wednesday we'll be sad. Sometimes on a Friday we'll be happy. It's got no relevance to the day or the experience. What it has relevant. Oh, why can't I say that word tonight? What it has relevance to is our thinking, our state of mind. Where are we? So I woke up in a low state of mind today. So my experience was that. Okay, so I experienced the world from a low state of mind, which then clouds the world. Now, if I'd have woken up in a high state of mind, none of that would have bothered me. So we begin to be able to see that our world is created from us. It's created from our thinking. And that allows us to then have a lot of freedom of within our lives, because life doesn't have to change for my mood to change. Life doesn't have to change for me to suddenly be happy. Happiness is always going to rise from within me when I stop expecting or requiring or having any idea how the world should look, and getting caught in that. If I don't get caught in that and I allow the world to be as it is, I'm okay. The nature of the self is it's always going to get a bit caught up, but it can always have the availability to see something differently. So this is this expansion when we start to see things from the point of view of the three principles, which is what me and Jem teach. If you're new to this and you've never heard us before, There's a lot of other spaces that you can listen to. We have a SoundCloud page with some podcasts on it, so you can dig into a little bit more into what we're teaching. And I suggest you do so because it was really, really interesting. But we don't want to go too much into the details of that tonight because this is going to be quite a short spaces. And we did go through that yesterday and we went through that on Thursday. But what we want to talk about tonight really is this power of thought creating our experience moment to moment. We want to really show you that if you're sad today because it's Valentine's Day, it's nothing to do with Valentine's Day. It's completely to do with your ideas around it, the thoughts that you have around it, the beliefs you have around it that are creating and that's creating your state of mind in the moment. Okay, state of mind equals feeling equals what we project onto the world, not the other way round. It's not world equals state of mind. So can you see how that freedom can come in? So for me, I can wake up and feel sad, but at any moment, I know I can have new thought that will be available, or I will feel happy again. So yeah, if this is really, if you're feeling anything, or you're feeling sad, or you know, you're feeling lonely today, we want to hear from you. We want to talk to you, and we want to really kind of get stuck in. So, Jem, over to you.
Yeah, there are a few things that really connected with me tonight. One of them you read, I think it was from a book about finding peace at home, but there was something that you said, and it was about desire. And having that desire or want is, again, it's pulling yourself away from where you should be, or not where you should be, but where you are. We're always at peace internally and deep down, but what happens is we agree and we allow ourselves to get caught and lost in thought. This isn't planning to be a long space, but who knows? I really want to get anyone up who has any questions about love for moles, because today's just been amazing. I think we've been on the phone for about 4.5 hours in total so far, and each conversation has been completely different. One was just us two, one was in the group, this is the one now. And yeah, I just feel like there's so much energy tonight. So if anyone has any questions about love, please request. But I'll ask a question that maybe some people will be feeling, I'm not personally anymore, but I definitely used to. But say for somebody, I did have a comment earlier saying, wow, I broke up with my longest ever relationship on Valentine's Day, and I was being sarcastic, saying, happy V-Day, you're not going to get any D or V, ha ha. But what for somebody that is sat in their pajamas eating Ben and Jerry's, crying because they feel, oh God, I have to go through this every Valentine's Day, or I missed this, my childhood sweetheart, why wasn't I with this person? Somebody that's going through that today, what would you say to them?
Okay, firstly, I want to go back. You mentioned the thing that on the call that we were on in the group earlier on Zoom. You said about the quote. I have the quote here. And it is, if you are free of concepts of time, you are beyond your ideas of wanting or desiring something in the future. A mind free of wanting and desiring is a mind at peace. And I think it's that point. A mind free of wanting and desiring is at peace. What creates disharmony, what creates us to not be at peace, is the fact that we want life to be different. We want a situation to be different. We want a relationship to work out differently. So I think that quote really is, the simplicity of that quote and what it points to is that this always comes back to us. Now, if you think about the idea that you've made up, so say you have an idea you should be with somebody and you're not with that person, okay? If you have that idea, you've made that up idea, you've made up that idea, you have that feeling, you have that want, and when you're not with them, that creates a disharmony within you. Now, I actually have a little bit of that experience that comes and goes within me with somebody that I've broken up with, that yeah, I do feel that it's not a constant. It's just something. Sometimes I feel that I see that it's part of an illusion, and that falls away. Okay. So what I see when that comes in, and when I actually observe that, is that it's my idea that I've made up. It's Moles's little mind that has decided that that's what she wants, without trusting that actually what I've got is what's perfect for me. My life as it is absolutely perfect. It's the life that I'm meant to have. It's the experience in the moment that I've meant to have. But I can get caught up in my thinking telling me that something shouldn't look like this, that it should be different, it should look a different way. And then I can beat myself up over the fact that it doesn't. Now, I have to say, the fact that I teach this, that doesn't happen to me very often, although it does happen, and it doesn't tend to stick around for very long. But I do still get that experience because, as I've spoken about on other calls, we're all having the human experience. We all have desires. We all have wants. We've all made up fairy tales and ideas about how our life should look. And when it doesn't look like that, we can be quite hard on ourselves. And what we have to realize is that's completely made up. If we can be present to our life and experience our life and see it as perfect, as if we have chosen it, then life gets a lot easier. So, of course, it's absolutely fine. Do you know what? It's fine to be in your pajamas eating Ben and Jerry's and thinking you should be with someone. But if you know that that's coming from thought and it's a transient experience, at some point you'll snap out of it pretty quickly. And when you snap out of it, you'll suddenly see all the infinite opportunities that you have in life, that's just one idea you've had about life, about a person. And if it doesn't work out, it's because it's not meant to work out. It's funny because I was talking about this with Jem earlier, and she quoted me back to me, and it's like, what's for you won't pass you by. It won't. It's like, what's for you, you will always, you know, if it's for you, you're never. It's not going to miss. Life is actually on target. You just might think that it's not. Okay, so this experience of life that we're having, this beautiful, amazing miracle of being alive in the moment, we dull it by thinking it should look a different way rather than fully experiencing it as it is and immersing ourselves in it and seeing that, wow, it is pretty amazing. It's the fact that I'm here and I'm having this human experience is actually enough, but my mind will constantly tell me that it's not. That's what minds do. Now, the three principles, what we teach here, starts to get you to wise up to what the mind's doing, wise up to what the mind's saying, to be able to go, hold on, I may think like that, it may look that way, but fundamentally, I know that's not true. What I know is true is life is happening, it's coming through me. I'm feeling my thinking moment to moment. If I can be present and I can experience life as it is without judgment, I know that I am happiness and that I am peace and that I am love. Okay? So the love that we're all seeking is actually the love that you are. It's so interesting. What you're all looking for, what we're all looking for, already lives within us. When we touch that space, when we come home to that, we feel it. It's like oh, it. I had an experience where I was listening to one of my teachers, and I just touched the space so deep. My mind just went so quiet, and I just felt so at home and so present. There was nothing in the world that I needed in that moment. Absolutely nothing. Everything was perfect, exactly as it is. And what I felt was just this sense of oneness, this sense of absolute peace and divinity. And from that, so I actually didn't want to leave. When I was in it, I felt like, oh, this is beautiful. I don't want to come out of this space. Of course, I did, because that's the nature. We're coming back to being human. But to know that there's something deeper, that there's something more that that contains our experience, that our experience comes from, allows us to have a greater sense of who we are, a greater sense of who we are not, and a greater peace of mind. And I think, again, what we're all looking for is the love and the peace of mind that is our true nature. And I think to explore that and to come home to that means that, yeah, of course you're going to get lost and you're going to get caught in thinking you want a relationship, you want a certain person, you want a certain amount of money, you want a different job, you want to live somewhere different, all these requirements we have of the world. But when we can step back and come home, we can see that well, okay, they're just wants. The world will show up to me as it's meant to show up. I will connect with what I'm meant to connect with. And I think that, you know, just to have a glimpse of that truth, to have a glimpse of that space is something that enriches life, really enriches life. And it really allows us to be present, and it allows us to enjoy life. You know, the founder of what I teach said that, you know, what the principles does, it brings you back into a childlike state. You know, you're an adult with the curiosity of a child. I think how we lose that curiosity, we lose that innocence of how amazing life is, and we get so bogged down in all our thinking about how life should be, and all of that is bullshit. That should is bullshit. You know, that's conditioning, that's beliefs, that's thoughts that we've taken in from society, from our culture, from our parents, from our friends, from whoever, and from wherever, and we've got that thinking, and we've made it look real, and we've made it tangible, and we've made it say something about our lives if we don't live up to it, if we haven't got the perfect relationship or the perfect job or you know, or 85 Bitcoin or whatever it is that you want. It's like, it has no meaning. The meaning is what you've applied to it. The freedom is seeing that. The truth is seeing that. It's suddenly knowing that, oh, I don't need any of that to be happy. In fact, if I let go of that and I access my true happiness, I can go and play in the world, and actually things will find me that were unexpected. I will connect with people I would never imagine to connect with. I will make new friends, have new relationships, find unusual ways of making money, because you become free. You become a free mind in the world, because the prison that we actually create is a prison of thought. You know, freedom from believing our own thinking, the freedom from challenging our own beliefs, to me, is the true freedom that we can experience in life. And I think once we have that, the world becomes our playground. The world becomes a much easier place to navigate. It's as if the surface, we live so much on the surface of our personal thinking, of our identity, of all these beliefs, of all these thoughts, of all these concepts. It's all the surface. If you imagine it's a body of water, you know, it's just the top of the water. It's where the waves are. If we can just dip down a bit deeper and go below the surface, and to see what's there, this is the space I'm talking about. This is where we're going here. This is the depth of the truth of who we are. This is what some might call the soul, or the spirit, or the energy of life, or something deeper. But we get so stuck and lost on the surface. And all we have to do is challenge what the thinking on the surface is saying. And when we do that, that's when we go deeper. That's when we dive into the depths. We go beyond our ideas and concepts of who we are. We go beyond our ideas and concepts of what life is. And we begin to explore. And in that depth of water, in that depth, as we go down below the surface, that's where we find the freedom, the peace, the love that we're all trying to find, that we're all looking for. And that's, for me, that's the turning inwards. That's the coming home. That's where we touch that space and we see the perfection of the world, and that life begins to open up. Life begins to bloom. Life begins to really become something that we enjoy. And some of you will know a little bit about me and Gems and why we do this. Some of you will not. For those that do not, I was somebody that lived I'm a mental health coach. I've been for many years now, but before that, I was someone that lived with quite an unhappy mind for several years. And actually, because I was always on that surface, and when I went deeper, when I challenged thought, when I saw thought for what it was when my freedom of mind was seen for myself. That's when I saw who I really was. That's when I became free. So I've been talking. I'm sorry. I've done a 2-hour call. on Zoom before this, so my voice is actually going. I'm sure you can hear, some of you that are used to listening to me. But yeah, it's a really beautiful exploration. And for all of you, I said, don't just believe me, or this is something to explore for yourself. You can, as I said, listen to some of our older recordings. You can contact us and ask a bit more, and we'll direct you in towards books or courses or whatever it is that you're interested in. But when you begin to explore it for yourself and you have your own insights into it, it's like, oh wow, that was really true. I can really see what they were talking about. I can really see that how just by looking in this direction, my mind has got a bit quieter and life has got a bit easier. And as my voice is going, I'm going to hand over to Jem.
I think you sound really sexy like this on Valentine's Day. If you thought you were single, you're not now. Malta is available. Terms and conditions apply. No, just kidding. I just wanted to make you laugh because you're so wonderful, and you've helped me so.
Oh, Jem's has cut out for me. Can someone thumbs up if she's cut out for them too? Maybe it's just me.
Miles.
Oh, no, I think you're cutting out, but I can't see. No one's done a thumbs up to let me know that.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, maybe it was a sign for me not to say that because I was getting a bit nervous, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Basically, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'd been in the mental health system for many years as a child, and I just thought that this can't be right. I know life's meant to feel good. I'm exhausted. I can't keep doing this and pretending. And the most important thing that I've learned is that it's just love. We are all one, and whatever is happening is supposed to be happening. I was trying to fight everything. I was trying to protect myself. And we only had this conversation recently, Miles, privately, but I had this really ingrained, deep belief that I was not worthy of love. And I believed that since I was about 8 years old. And you just said, well, you are love. And that's all you said. But I knew that deep down, and it's from however long it took. But I don't have that belief anymore. And God, I'm 30 and I've just begun my life now. In my eyes, I can now do what I want when I want because I'm doing it for me rather than trying to hide or be scared. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm happy that I'm a sensitive person. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I've always tried to help people with mental health from as young as I can remember because I know what it's like to feel like shit. I know what it's like to not want to be in this world. And just to realize that we are love and I am love is just incredible. And I could feel every day, some days aren't amazing, but most days are amazing because I decide they're amazing because I know these thoughts that happen, they're nothing to do with me. And the only thing that solidifies them is me giving them meaning and me saying, oh, I might be thinking that because of that. And I know now that's all bullshit. So yes, I do sometimes get tied up. But the most amazing thing for me is that I now love. I've always given love, but I've never accepted it. I've always thought, well, because I'm not worthy, I pushed it away. So I'd give, but I'd be like, no, people never ask me if I'm okay because I'm always make sure and make out that I'm okay. And I've realized so much today. I'm blabbering on, but it's been really important for me because I've understood so many things that I've been working on for so many years. But love is the answer, and I am love, and you've allowed me to feel that again. So yeah, just thank you. And I've gone on a tangent, but if there is anyone that has any questions, just please request, and just thank you all for being here because we couldn't do this without you, and we're both doing it because we know how it feels to feel shit, and we know actually it doesn't need to be like that. It can be like this, and it can be like this all the time.
Yeah, thank you, Jem. And I think that's such a great point at the end. We know what it feels like to feel like shit. So that's the reason we come on. That's the reason we've created the Unminding Project. As I said, every Thursday, 8 p.m. UK time, we do a more in-depth conversation than this, although I think we've actually gone pretty deep without kind of thinking that we were going to. And yeah, this is it. It's like you can't search. I guess it's really interesting. We've searched for what we already are, and we miss it because we're searching for it. We think it's out there. We think there's something to find. And the more you wake up to who you are, the more you wake up to the love that you are, the less you kind of search for it. If it finds you, then that's something beautiful. But there isn't a want for another that to complete you. It's like someone might come along and you have those feelings and you want to be with them, but you won't have been out there searching and feeling like you needed it. It would just be suddenly, oh, that person, oh, okay. And you have those feelings, and you notice it, and you explore it, and it will work out or it won't work out. Again, when that's not always up to us, it will be what it's meant to be. But it's really interesting. So where I've split with somebody that I'd probably quite like to still be with, and for me, obviously, those feelings come and go, and sometimes I'm totally fine, and sometimes I have moments of being upset. And what's interesting is people say, well, you just need to meet someone else. And I'm like, that isn't who I am or how this works. I've got no desire to meet someone else. It will be if someone else came along, and I had those feelings, that would be great. But actually, for me, it's such an organic thing. It will just happen. And I don't need to meet someone else to get over somebody. It's feelings will come and go, and if someone doesn't feel the same way as you do, we all know eventually those feelings, they calm down. You don't feel like that forever, and so this is what we're pointing to here is that it's not about searching or seeking outside of me. I don't need to find something else to be okay. I just have to realize more of who I am to be okay. I just have to see more of my true nature, and then I'm absolutely fine. Now, when I explore that, when I see that, I need nothing from the world. I don't need that person. I don't need any other person. I don't need anything. I just go and play and explore and have fun and do what I do. And sometimes I'm caught up, and sometimes I might be sad, and then I'll be happy again. And I just allow the experience of life to live through me. Okay, I don't try and control it. I don't need to meet someone, do anything, or have something to be okay. Now, that is freedom. Freedom isn't a specific set of circumstances to be okay. Freedom is life exactly as it is and allowing it to be okay. I hope that makes sense. So, a lot of the time we can say, I'm okay. If I get back with that person, I'll be okay. If I have this, if I have that, we apply circumstances to our personal freedom, to our well being, to our happiness. This understanding says, oh, that's bullshit. We don't need to do that. All we need to do is see that who we are and be free and know that happiness and well-being is our true nature. It's innate. Now that can then come through any time, whether I'm with the right person that I believe is the right person, whether I have the right amount of money or the wrong amount of money in the bank, doesn't matter. It's inconsequential. Because my well-being isn't dependent on the world. My well-being comes from me. Now, that makes life much easier because I'm not trying to control it anymore. That makes my relationships a lot easier most of the time because I may get caught up, but when I come out of it, people know that, oh, she'll just be out of it and she'll be fine because it was just me being caught in thought. It wasn't the truth that anything had to look different. So this is where we're coming to. This is the freedom that we're talking about. This is the freedom of mind, the freedom to be in love, to not be in love, to get what you want, to not get what you want. That's just life. That's just lifing. It's always going to look different. There's always going to be moments and then struggles and the appearance of problems. But to have the experience of dipping below the intellect, going back into that analogy of the water, coming below the surface of seeing who you are, that's yours. That's always yours. That's not dependent on anything outside of you. That's who you really are. And when you know that, you have everything you need. Okay, that's where you go to when you may feel lost. That's where, when you remember who you are, when you see that it's only thought creating your experience, suddenly a sense of presence, a sense of well-being, a sense of peace, a sense of happiness come through you, as they've always done. Happiness has always come through us. We've just pretended and made up that it came from outside of us, that it's because of a certain set of circumstances, because of a person, because you've got something that you've wanted. And we've applied that and made that look real. And it's not true. If happiness came from outside of us, if there was a thing that made people happy, we would all want the same thing. We would all be like, yeah, it's that. It's that thing that makes everybody happy, so we'd all be striving for it. We've all made up what we think makes us happy. That's why we all want different things. Okay, you've made up through your beliefs how much money you think you need to be happy, what relationship you think you need to be happy, what work you need to do to make you feel happy. None of it's true. Okay, it's all you. It's all coming from you. Happiness and freedom are yours, but you have to challenge your mind. You have to challenge your own thinking. When you challenge your personal thoughts and beliefs, this is where this deeper nature, this truth is allowed to come through. But you have to challenge your own thoughts and beliefs. You have to begin to see beyond your own personal thinking. When you do, it's amazing. That's where insights come from. That's where fresh thought comes from. If we can be really stuck in our own thinking and our own beliefs and unwilling to see things differently, but we all know that closed offness doesn't really lead to a very happy life. What we really, when we really get the most out of life is when we're open, when we're expansive, when we're ready to see things differently, when life can appear differently to us. So yeah, it's a really interesting exploration, and as I always say, explore for yourself. Don't just believe what I'm saying. Explore. Challenge who you are. Challenge your own thinking. Go a bit deeper than what your mind says. What's there? What's there when you do that? What happens when you do that? Go beyond what you think is true, because I can tell you that I think there was a study and there's a teacher called Eckhart Tolle. He's a very, very famous spiritual teacher. And he said 98% of thought is bullshit. 98% of thought is unhelpful. And look how much we believe our own thinking. And 98% is unhelpful. So why are we believing it? Actually challenging that thinking, seeing it as untrue, is actually where the juice can come in for life, where we can really begin to live fully, where we can really begin to explore our true nature and to begin to see that when we go there, that everything that we think we need from outside of us already exists within us. And I am going to hand over back to Jem because I am exhausted. I've been talking for hours.
I'm kind of glad that you kept going for that long, because as you know, today's been like massive for me. A few minutes ago I was crying, then I was laughing, and now I'm back to being here. Not that I wasn't there in that moment, but it's so interesting, and I'm going to try and explain it. So as you were speaking then, bearing in mind what we've sort of gone through tonight with the whole family and love, I was thinking back to what I used to say, my story, the story I've always told myself. I was fostered when I was a kid. I moved out of my foster parents before I should have, and then bad relationship, then went traveling, and and then just really got obsessed with money and had very high paid jobs. I was exhausted, but I was always running from something, and it was always myself. Now, when I'm going to be completely honest, and Moles, I hold things back sometimes on these spaces, but because I feel maybe embarrassed or nervous, but actually all of this is part of me changing, and I couldn't give a flying fuck now. But what has happened to me is I was so scared and afraid of love when I was a child and thought I was unworthy of it. Every other part of my life kind of worked out in regards. I know I had to support myself. I was very driven, determined, traveled the world on my own by the time I was 20. And the only thing that I was scared of was love. And I knew that, but I never told anybody that. I'm not scared of spiders. I'm not scared of doing 100 hours a week. I'm not scared of traveling the world on my own. Nothing scares me. I know everything happens for a reason. And this is the story I told myself forever. But the one thing I was scared of was love. I would give all the love that I had, which I know and always knew was limitless, but I would never accept it because I was scared. One, that it would be taken away again, or two, that I wasn't worthy of it. But the last few hours and what's happened today, I was never scared of love. And I know that now. And just today has been insane. And I was so happy anyway, because I had all these new ideas, not new ideas, but I knew I could do them because I didn't have these restraints and these pullbacks, this bullshit that I'd been telling myself. But today I've realized that I'm not scared of love anymore. So it's just huge, absolutely huge. And it's Valentine's Day, and I'm 30, and there's just so much, and I'm so fucking grateful. I cannot explain.
Oh, Gems, that's amazing. And as you can hear, guys, Gems isn't scared of love anymore. So just DM her. No, I'm joking.
It's been a while, so the first one you might be in. So quick, let's go. No, just kidding. But yeah, just to pull back something that you said earlier when we were talking privately, people say to you, just meet somebody else. I know it doesn't work like that. As I've got older, or whatever it seems to be, guys that I was previously interested in before, it was maybe because it was exciting to make me feel good. I was looking for something within that relationship or within them that I couldn't find in myself, and have had many years of being single. And now I don't care. It's not about having someone next to you. It's about the connection. It's about the person. I have someone like that in my life. You know who they are, and he's wonderful. And I've not met him in real life, and oh God, I'm going to get emotional now. But I've just learned so much today, and I just feel like I'm ready to be loved. Fuck.
Okay. So what's happened to Gems today is she's had a huge insight. So it's really beautiful, and this is what we're talking about. It's Gems has actually been working with me for at least a year, probably a couple of years now, on and off. And this is she's seen things along the way. But what happened we spoke privately earlier, and then she was on my group call this evening on Zoom, and she just saw something, and it wasn't that she had to dig into her personal story to see it. It was just something was revealed because she was open and she heard something deeper, but that came from her, and whatever came from her allowed her to see love differently. And how beautiful is that we're on Valentine's Day and Gem's on the call, and suddenly had a deep insight into love and love's nature that she'd never seen before. And it's so interesting because we think we know everything. We think we think we know things. We think our intellect works everything out and we already know. And it's in those spaces where we don't know that we allow fresh thought to come in, that we get to see things differently. So all an insight is a sight from within. It's something where we've opened up, we've seen something differently, and it changes us. So at the moment, Gem's kind of probably find it a little bit hard to articulate because it's fresh, it's new thinking, and it's something new. But over the next few days, what will happen is it will assimilate. It will kind of become more of a part of her, and she won't be able to go back to seeing it how she used to see it. What happens when we see something from within, it kind of sticks. That's how we see it now. It like how we used to see it makes no logical sense anymore. It has to go. So suddenly there's this new way of seeing the world, and that will bring some freshness to Gem's life. And this is what we're talking about here. And as you were speaking, it was really interesting. I'm a poet, but I'm also obviously a mental health coach. But my favourite poet is Rumi, and he has a poem. It's very short, and it really reminded me of what Gem was saying. And it is, your task is not to seek for love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. And that's exactly it. It can't be sought. It can't be outside of us. It's not something we see in the outside world and we find. It's something that is revealed the more we drop our barriers within, and we allow it. So what's happened with Gem is that the barriers have fallen. A barrier has fallen away, and there'll be a more of an allowance of love. There'll be a deeper experience of love. There'll be that richness that we were talking about earlier, and Gem hasn't had to go and find someone on Valentine's Day to feel the love that she's feeling right now. That love has come from her. And that's what we wanted to get on a call today, because we wanted to point that out to people, that it may really look like it's going to come from outside of you. And of course, it's wonderful to be in a good relationship. It's great. It's enriching. We love that. It's something that we all kind of do desire at some level, but it's not a requirement. And actually, if you can see what we're teaching for yourself and then get into a relationship, you can have a really amazing relationship, because you don't run away at the first sign of trouble, because what you're doing is you're seeing that person through fresh eyes all the time, and you're understanding that we all get caught up, we all get lost, and you'll have compassion rather than taking it personally. And there's a whole depth we can talk to here about actual that how great relationships can be when you understand this, because you're not actually pointing the fingers and I feel bad, it's your fault. So I feel bad, it must be my thinking today. And we allow the other person to be. So I think at some point we'll probably have to do something on relationships, because we haven't done that yet, and really kind of dig into that side of how helpful it can be to really know yourself and know the human experience and where it comes from in a relationship, because you stop being a victim and you stop blaming. And you can really stick in a relationship because you understand that fundamental truth that they are not creating your experience, you are. And if you're in a low state of mind and you're projecting it onto them, that's not them, that's you. They're the same person. We're all many different things. There's going to be parts of your partner that you think are amazing. There's going to be parts that piss you off and annoy you. But when you see that's all coming from you, that becomes much more manageable. That becomes a healthy relationship. And I think when I look at a lot of the relationships in the Three Principles world with some of the people that have been around it for a while, they have really good relationships. And I think that's what can be on the table if you meet the person that's willing to look in this direction and experience that and explore that and see this from see this for themselves, and you both come from that place. You just realize when the other person's just in a low state of mind, you don't take it personally, and you realize when you're in a low state of mind, you don't project it onto them. Now, there can be a little bit of tricky moments when you're both in a low state of mind, but as soon as one of you comes out of that and you stop projecting, then you kind of lift the relationship up. So it really is a different kind of relationship that is available when you start to explore below the surface of your actual experience, below the surface of what your thinking is telling you. And I think that's what we're pointing to on every call. It touches every area of life when you see this, because all of life is made from your thinking. All of life comes from you. So yeah, I'm getting really tired. But just if anyone would like to talk or has a question, please come up and ask or come up and say what you need to say. We wanted to be here for people. Anyone that you might be feeling great, or you might be feeling lonely, or you may have whatever feeling you may have on this day, because we can apply a lot of meaning to something that has no meaning, like a day called Valentine's. And so we just wanted to create a space to hang out with people and share what we see, because again, we know how helpful it is. Gems.
Thank you. We did just have a request. Was that Ryan? It's been removed, but Ryan, if you want to come up, you're more than welcome. But yeah, everyone can probably tell and can hear, but I know that there's nothing that there's no end to this. We are infinite, and I'm just so happy that I don't have to spend my life wondering if I'm ever going to be happy again. And it's just, whatever's happened to you, whatever you think about yourself is probably not true. I always go back to that Mark Twain quote where he says, I've spent a lot of my life worrying about, you know it better than me, but some of them actually happened, where our mind is so good at creating this bullshit. If I was to really concentrate on something that happened to me when I was a kid, I could probably, or definitely raise my heartbeat, start sweating, start crying, have a panic attack. But I now know that it is all created from my thoughts. And actually, we don't need to do that anymore. All these things that we've been told, all these beliefs, if all that is here is this moment, then why does any of that shit matter anyway? If it's just right here, right now, nothing else exists, why do we need to think, oh, that might have happened because that happened to me with my girlfriend or boyfriend or mother or father? If we're clever enough to know that all that exists is this moment, because it's only our mind that can create the past and the future, hence depression and anxiety, then who are we kidding? That's cognitive dissonance to the fucking T. It's right here, right now. Your mum isn't here right now, your dad, your ex-girlfriend, your kid. It's just you. Simplify it. And that's what I've learned to be able to do after all of this rubbish. But it wasn't rubbish because it brought me to the point that I was supposed to be. So, yeah, I haven't even thought about what I've said tonight, and I'll listen back to it. And I'm over the point of, because I said to you, Miles, there's some things I don't want to talk about. I feel embarrassed. Like, there's a reason that the cool, young, flirty boys that used to comment and flirt with me do not anymore, and I'm fucking fine with that. But it's so interesting. Like, I've lost quite a few followers. Well, just people that, really. It wasn't a bravado, but I always want to try and make people as happy as possible. And if I feel like shit, I'm not going to tell people about it because I don't want them to feel like shit. So I'm a positivity pusher. That's what I do because I know what it's like to feel shit. But when people sort of sometimes realize, hey, there are cracks between the veil, and actually people have to have a bit of hard work and do these things. It isn't always as great as you believe, and people don't like that, and that's okay. But it's actually brilliant, because some of the people that I've connected with over the last few weeks and months, I wouldn't have been able to connect with if I wasn't how I am now, because they wouldn't have been interested in, I was doing that whole victim mentality thing, not to an extreme, but I hadn't realized this bullshit story that was holding me, that I don't tell anymore. So sorry, this feels like a therapy session for me. Sorry, guys.
That's fine, done. I mean, it's the come as you are party, isn't it? What we do is like, come up, be honest, show who you are. We will all connect through that. We will all say, oh God, yeah, I feel like that too. There's no pretense. There's no, oh, I'm going to pretend to be okay and happy when I'm not. It's okay. We're all going to be unhappy sometimes. Now, we don't wallow in that unhappiness. We don't go on about our unhappiness. But sometimes we get on a call and say, actually, I felt like shit today. But, I knew it was thought. I knew it was experience. I know I'm fundamentally okay and everything's well. And it was just what was on the table for me today, and we allow that. We don't. It, it's so wonderful to be with in groups, and this is what we do in our private groups. Is that everyone just is really honest, and it's so refreshing. And I can't really not be honest with my feelings anymore, or with where I am, because it doesn't matter. I don't have to cover anything up or hide anything. I'm just really comfortable in myself, and I do want to finish soon. But what I do want to end on is just to look at, love really is unconditional. The love that where we want something from another person, where we want something to be different, that conditional side of it is the personal. That's our intellect, that's our egos, what we want, what we desire. That's yeah, we can call it love, but really true pure love has no conditions. It's totally fine with loving someone and they don't love you back. It's totally fine with not getting what it wants. It's I love you exactly as you are really does have to mean I love you exactly as you are. It means that I love you, and if you don't want to be in relationship with me and you want to be with someone else, I still love you. Think how conditional that we are really around love. And if we can challenge those conditions, if we can come back to the purity and the truth of love, then it's really opens us up. It's like, wow, okay, like I didn't even realize I had so many conditions around love, but we all do. But when we can observe those conditions and challenge them, we can we can live a different kind of life. We can have a different kind of relationship. So, we have requirements in relationship. I wouldn't particularly want to be in an open relationship, so that wouldn't be for me. But if I was with somebody and then they left and they met someone else, I would probably go through pain. I would probably be hurt. But ultimately, I would want that person, if I loved them unconditionally, if they were happier with someone else, I would want them to be with that other person. That's unconditional love. I may be in pain, I will experience that pain, but ultimately they need to be where they need to be. Okay, so this is what we're talking about, the purity of love, not our conditions, not what our thoughts are telling us, not what our mind is telling us. And unconditional love really does exist in us. It really is who we are. It's our inner being. It's almost like, rather than a feeling, it's our natural state. It's not a reason for love. It's not a reason to not love. It just is love. And I think if we can come back to that, if we can come back to the purity of love, that love without reason, love without object, love just is, and it's beautiful, and we all have it. We all are it. We all are enough. There's no requirements for us to be love. It's just our natural being and our natural state. So I think I'd like to, as I've been talking for like 4 hours, I think I would like to end it there. And I think unconditional love is a beautiful place to end it. And I send you all off with love, and to know that you are love, and maybe to explore the 3 principles a little more if you've never heard of them. You can always DM me or Jem to find out a little bit more, or search for yourself, and just know that everything is perfect. It's as it should be. And I'd like you to, have a very happy rest of your Valentine's Day, wherever you are in the world. And just love you all. Thank you all for being here. And I will hand you over to Jem to end the call.
Thank you, Moles. And there's just so much. What I feel, and I know that I always do what I feel now, and I know it will be okay with you, but I want to read Desiderata, if that's all right with
Absolutely,
you and everyone,
darling.
because it's just. So this is my favourite poem. I used to read it every day. I read it at my grandma's funeral. I'll just read the poem, and it'll probably make sense, and then I'll just say we'll say goodbye now, shall we? So goodbye, and we love you. Thank you. But I just want to end on this because today, I feel selfish saying this, but today for me has just been amazing. Like I said, there's been 3 different calls with Moles, and Moles, I love you unconditionally. You have taught me so much, and I can't explain how I feel, but I know you feel it. So thank you. So I'm going to read this for you guys, but it's for everyone. So thank you. So go placidly amid the noise and the haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others. Even to the dull and the ignorant, they too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexatious to the spirit. And if you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for there will always be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career. However humble, it is a real possession in the changing fortunes of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. So be yourself, especially do not feign affection. Neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. So take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore be at peace with God, whatever you conceive him to be, and whatever your labours and aspirations, in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it still is a beautiful world. So be cheerful and strive to be happy. Thank you, everybody, just for being here. Incredible.